Okay, welcome into episode 10. 10, we're in double digits, episode 10 of D&D's two-man game. I am your host, Damon, and yes, we have read all the comments. We have seen all of the messages. Damon, why are you doing this podcast alone? It's not worth it. It's terrible. Please bring Dom back. What is he doing? Where is he at? Why did you have an episode by yourself? And then we skipped a week without an episode, and now we're here on Tuesday, like 3 days after we're supposed to have another episode. It's been a lot, guys. It's been a lot. But he's back. The man, the myth, the songwriter, Dom. Fresh off a tour with his band, Ugly Side Up. So I want to hear, before I even get into basketball and stuff, I want to hear about this tour. I know a lot of your band members went to a lot of these places for the first time. I know maybe this road trip kind of with them was a lot. I know you guys had a West Coast tour, but this is like, this was across states. This was much different. I think, did you have any favorite places, any favorite people that you may have saw, or anything like that? Tell us how it was. Fill us in.
First off, I want to say thank you, Damon, for welcoming me back and allowing me back. I've been trapped in Damon's basement this entire time, and he finally let me out. That's actually what happened. No, I was on tour. I was on tour for a long time, and when all the, there's so much news that happened, and when all that broke, all I wanted to do was talk to my good friend Damon about this, and unfortunately, it was not possible. I'm glad to be back. And I want to thank him again for doing an ISO episode while I was gone, which was great. I listened to it and I enjoyed it very much. I learned some things in it too. I didn't even know.
I need to pause you real quick. Something I forgot to say. So I had this ISO episode where there was like kind of some news to talk about, and then like the week after that was going to be like another ISO episode. And I was like, there's absolutely nothing to talk about. There's nothing to talk about. I don't want to come up with a segment. I don't want to do anything. And then right after that, all this crazy news happens that we're going to get into later today. And I was like,
So it worked out.
I gotta wait. I gotta wait until he comes back, and then we'll talk. But please continue.
Yeah.
Tell us
Yeah.
about the last couple weeks for you.
Yeah. The last couple of weeks have been wild. My band, Ugly Side Up, we traveled over 5 states. We went to Texas, from California to Texas and back. Played a lot of shows in my home state of Texas. Saw a lot of good friends. Damon, you saw he was coughing a little bit when I was mentioning, Texas. That's because he came to a show, and it was great to see him, and again in person. We live so far away, so it's nice when we get to talk and just hang out. This is nice, but it's nice. It's a lot better when you get to see friends in person for sure. And my band members had a great time. They loved Texas. They loved Galveston. Like
Wow.
yeah, they really enjoyed it because it was something. It was like nothing they've seen before.
It is for tourists.
Yeah, well, exactly that. And also, so the closest, my drummer Chris is from Florida. So like a lot of that same vibe, like beachy island town is in Florida. But the thing is, Florida's like kind of all connected, whereas
Right.
Galveston is really separate. Maybe it's like Key West, but even then everyone knows Key West, most southern point of
Right.
the US, and people go there all the time. Galveston, pretty unique in that
It's like its own
respect.
little purgatory.
That's exactly right. And some people love it and some people hate it. And I can't say I hate it because I did enjoy being back and playing a show there at one of the biggest bars that has entertainment in Galveston, which was really fun to play and see a lot of friends and family. But I'm glad to be back home where I can get some rest, get some sleep. But tour was a success. We had a great time, and I met a lot of cool people and had a really good time doing it.
All right. Favorite place? Where was it? What
Favorite
was the best
place?
show? What was the best show you had? Or alternatively, I
Mm,
guess the best. I don't want to say the best city because like you say
yeah,
Galveston, but I know you're also had a show in LA, and it's like I think I know what's going to win that battle. Um,
that's tough. You say that. I'll say two. Our
okay,
kickoff show in LA was really fun. It
yeah,
was all like 50, 60 of our friends here, and we had bands that we are friends with that opened up for us, and that was just a party. It was really more of a party than a gig. So
and
that was really fun. So I'll think about that one a lot, but the next one I'll think about, I kind of put the two Austin shows together, but the two Austin shows to me were just so fun. I don't know. I just had such a fun time.
What sticks out in Austin, I wonder?
Um, I think a big part of it, obviously seeing a lot of like Austin friends, like Damon, who lives in Austin now. But a big part of it was my old band members when I
Right.
used to live in Austin. Just doing the shows with them there, and then just being able to hang out and talk with them and catch up with them after so long was really nice. And also playing a venue me and them used to we have played before,
Mhm.
being Kick Butt Coffee, and then them coming on for the last two songs, which was
Right.
really fun. And which I don't know if I told you, that was supposed to be a surprise.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes. We did talk about that a little
yeah,
bit.
yeah, they weren't gonna tell me, but then they made the decision to tell me, and I guess I'm kind of glad because I can get a little.
You'd have been like, oh
I
God.
like a plan. I like a plan,
Yeah.
So, but the definitely while on tour out of the city of LA, Austin popped out to me. I mean, because we just like on Sunday before the gig, we just drove around Austin, and I got to show my band. I showed them UT, showed
Mhm.
them Waterloo, drove around South Congress, walked on South Congress, showed them where I used to live. It was just, it was nice. Galveston was also nice, but for different reasons. Austin kind of was like I was already an adult there. I was there. Where Galveston,
Right.
I felt like a child showing my friends around. So but seeing my dad, they met my dad and my mom for the first time, so that was really cool. Um we just had fun, and also, and yeah, we had the best barbecue in Austin as well, so can't complain, man. It was fun.
And for listeners that may not know, obviously Dom is in California now. His band is California based, but it did originate in Austin. That's where it started. So
True.
that's when he's saying, the former band members and stuff. That's kind of, you know, um, all that nostalgia, I assume, was kind of a factor as well. And
Absolutely.
you're coming back to your band home essentially. Uh,
That's what it is. That's what it is. Yeah. My instead of my, my growing up home, it was my music home.
mm,
Because Galveston is sure like where I learned to play guitar and started recording just like things for myself. But Austin's where I really became a musician. I became like Ugly Side Up. I became the band that we are today. So um so yeah, but that's enough about that. I mean, I don't want to talk too much about it, but I'm just glad to be back. And I appreciate you asking me about it.
course, the people are dying to know where is he at. And
They are,
now all three of them know. So,
and I'll never tell my address.
don't do that. Definitely wouldn't advise doing that. Although
Okay,
I want to say
1 5. No, okay.
90%. I say 90%, even though it's like the total number of people that listen to this is four. Um, but like 90%, I'll say, of the people listening to this probably already know your address. So,
Yeah. Okay.
but if we're ever to blow up and then everyone comes back and listens to this, then they'll also know your address, which could be bad.
So I'll never tell my address.
Never. You wait, I don't know if you
Exactly.
meant to do that.
Yeah, but so like what I mentioned before, kind of moving forward, like I was on tour, but it was so much fun, but it was a little bit of torture because so much happened while I was on tour, basketball related.
Right.
So much. And I don't know if you want to break down real quick what happened, and then we can kind of break down detailed, or just you want to go one by one. How do you want to do this?
Um, I
Or
would
do
say, I would say that what we should do is first do our shirt reveal because
Oh yeah.
it has to tie in here. In typical Dom
Okay.
fashion, mine doesn't tie in. Mine is just an OKC Westbrook jersey t-shirt. I love jersey t-shirts. I think they're super cool, and this was gifted to me by Dom. And I wear it pretty much every time we play basketball, I think.
Looks good on you.
Dry fit, it's like the perfect material for basketball.
I
What about you?
agree.
I see some red, I see some white. The mystery
It's
is
just some
intriguing.
red, some black. What could it be? Could it be the Rockets? Could it be the Hawks? I don't know. They're more yellow. I don't know. Who else could it be? I'm
Got
just
it.
gonna reveal it. It's the
The
Blazers.
Blazers, huh? I wonder why the Blazers, why you wore a Blazers thing today.
I don't know. I don't know why. Is it because I bought tickets to the season opener for the Clippers versus the Blazers, or is it
Oh,
because of something else?
because you want to see Damian Lillard, right?
Yeah, I want to see
Wait.
Damian Lillard play. No, don't tell me. No, it happened. No.
Yes, so a lot of stuff happened while you were gone. We are going to talk about contract extension. I talked a little bit about some of those during my ISO episode. We're going to talk about media day. That just happened like yesterday. And of course, we're going to talk about the repercussions of the Damian Lillard to the Bucks trade and the subsequent Jrue Holiday to the Celtics trade, which we'll get into it more later. I was surprised how fast that happened.
I
Usually, I feel
was,
like there's
yeah.
a gap, but that was like, all right, you're on our team for 3 days, you're gone. I was like,
I,
what?
besides how fast it happened, I was surprised who we ended up with. Because
Yeah,
I didn't think that they had anything really to offer the Celtics, but they gave up, I think, one really big important piece to the future for like a win now. But we'll dive into it more.
right.
But yeah, it was quick. I did not expect it to be that quick. I really thought that Jrue would maybe be at training camp for the Blazers for a bit, maybe play a couple games. Who knows? Like, but it didn't happen.
Didn't
So
happen. Didn't
didn't
happen.
happen. So
Hopefully
no
he
need to
didn't
dwell
buy
on it.
a home in Portland or anything. Hopefully his family didn't move there already and enroll in school and
Yeah, I
all that
hope
stuff.
not.
Because they're not staying there. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So last episode, well, I talked about news and stuff. Before that, we were doing rankings. We will finish the rankings. We'll get to the rankings. We're not gonna have time for it this week with all the news and stuff that we want to tackle today. Dom coming back off tour. We got a little bit of catch up to do. But next week we'll dive back into power forwards, and then centers after that.
Unless James
Unless,
Harden gets traded.
even if that, like, I feel like even if that happens, this
Okay,
trade is so complicated and has so many pieces. I feel like the James Harden trade won't be that. It'll be a little easier to kind of tackle in like 20 minutes.
let's
Uh,
hope. Let's
let's
hope.
hope.
That's all I'm saying. Let's hope.
Centers the week after that, and then I think,
The
honestly, when I'm
seat.
thinking of the timing, I feel like we're gonna get right about to like the start of the
Yeah.
season.
Yeah.
And I think that'll be like the perfect episode where we do like our standings predictions,
Yeah.
award predictions, all that stuff. So yeah,
And
that's probably the next 3 episodes: power forward, centers, and then like standings and awards. And then it'll be basketball time.
and then it'll be basketball. Yeah. We'll have to do jersey rankings too. So do
Jersey
jersey rankings
rankings,
in
yeah.
there too somehow.
As-
Um,
And I know like there's been leaks here and there of certain teams, but it's probably better if we just wait, kind of tackle
yeah,
it all
exactly.
at
Yeah,
once.
especially with everything going on, and we want to get those rankings out of the way too.
Right.
I when I read this trade initially, well, I want your initial thoughts because I know. So it's so funny because when I heard about this Damian Lillard trade, I texted you and I wanted to know your thoughts, and you said save it for the pod,
Save
and
for the
it
pod.
and it upset me.
Yeah,
I was
so we,
very
we haven't
sad.
talked about it at all.
Yeah, so I know how I felt. I want to know what was your initial reaction. So you read, Damian Lillard traded to Bucks.
Okay.
And then obviously you're like, okay, what did they get in return? Like, what did you think of the package?
Just because I think this is the most important thing, can this be the last thing? Can we do the other stuff first?
Oh, is that okay? Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, yeah. We gave you a little taste,
Little
but
taste.
we'll be right back. But first,
First, you have to listen to us talk about other stuff. So
like,
first, very quick thing, Devin Vassell. He got a 5-year, $140 million extension. We talked about him a little bit a couple of times, like during the offseason thing, during shooting guard rankings. What are your thoughts on this extension?
so my biggest, what I mentioned in the rankings is I don't know a ton about Devin Vassell, but what it looks like to me is that they see him as a part of the future.
Right.
And I mean, 5-year, 146 million is like, it's a lot, but it's also not like a max, right? It's not a
Right.
super max. It's nothing like that. I think they just see him growing as a player, and they probably see him as on the same timeline as Wemby and like the other young players. So, I mean, I'm happy for him. I will definitely be watching more Spurs this year for obvious reasons. and I'm excited to see kind of what he brings to the team. I'm happy for him. I hope he earns the money. And yeah, how do you feel? Because I know you know a little bit more about his game.
Yeah, like I look at the contract, and this sounds weird. I don't think it matters. And here's what I mean by this. I mean, Devin Vassell, I okay, I think it was a good thing, but it's not because I think it's a good value contract. I think it was smart for the Spurs to take a young player who they think can be complementary to Wembanyama as the future goes on, like you said, and pay that guy up front. Say, hey, we believe in you. We think you're going to be a part of our future. Here's this much money. Some people may think it's good. Some people may think it's an overpaid because you're kind of young and we haven't seen that much. I do think he's good, by the way.
Yeah,
What I think it does, though, is that's one piece of the future already locked away. So when the offseason comes, we don't have to worry about a James Harden situation. And I'm not saying Devin Vassell's that kind of person, that kind of player. I don't think he is. But it's like they're getting on top of it. They're getting like, okay, we're gonna get our pieces settled, so the less drama around Wemby, the better. And I think that's like the smart play is just we think this guy is good enough. We're gonna pay him
yeah,
now, and like 3 years down the line, if he's not cutting it, and then he has 2 years left, and it's like not a crazy number, especially with the new CBA, the salary caps will be increasing here shortly.
yeah.
So I'm fine with it. you know,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I see that. I mean, he does his job. He does it well. He's definitely like a bright spot part of this young Spurs team. And I'm happy, that they're investing in their, younger folks and, trying to, like you said, I think it was very important to make sure that all the pieces around Wembanyama, there's not a lot of moving pieces. Like they're pretty steady and, they all the best what you want are these young players to melt to kind of work together and you're telling this guy that you trust him and that would make me want to work hard for that money too, you know what I mean?
right?
So yeah, also I think they had the money to spend, right? It's the Spurs. They're not who's the biggest person on contract with them. I know they just bought out Reggie Bullock, so it's not him. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I
so they had the money.
you know where Reggie Bullock's going, by the way?
Yeah, I saw.
The Houston Rockets, baby.
I don't hate it. I
I
don't
don't
hate
know why, but he went from the
it.
Mavericks to the Spurs to the Rockets. Welcome to
He's like,
Texas.
I want all the Texas teams.
I
Yeah,
I didn't understand that.
I, I, I don't know. I like him enough. I liked him on the Mavericks, and I mean, yeah, he doesn't fit the timeline for the Rockets, but he's a good player. I mean, he should have. I mean, I don't like him enough to be like, I wish you went to a contender, man. He deserves a ring. But I like him on the Rockets. He'll do his job. He'll make his threes.
Yeah, I
Um,
I agree.
but yeah, but I gotta say, like in the same vein, like so I'm sure everyone on social media, Monday, yesterday, today, Tuesday, just seeing all the media day stuff for the
Media
NBA, it's
day.
getting me so hyped, man. Like I
Oh
cannot
yeah,
wait. Like just seeing all the like young players in their new uniforms and all
the,
the
the
old players in
jerseys.
their new uniforms, the
The jerseys.
jerseys, they're
Yes,
so crisp and nice. And I know you sent me some of like the behind the scenes hype video shootings of the Rockets, and Amin Thompson looks great in a Rockets jersey.
dude. The people
Um,
like seeing people in the jersey. I'm like,
it
yes,
really
yes.
does
Even
like,
though I watched you play summer league, yes. Anyways,
and even like so we talked about Wembanyama. Like I he's fine for what he is now. Like I'm not overhyping him, whatever. But it was really cool to see him in like a legit Spurs uniform, and also like seeing we won't get into it right now, but just seeing like older players in their new uniforms is also just crazy. It's like what
LeBron back in
dimension
20.
LeBron back in 23, so wild. I don't know if you saw this for the Lakers too, but when they brought in, so it was LeBron and AD taking pictures together, right? Because there's a big
Of course.
two. Guess who they brought in as their third? Austin Reeves. Isn't that crazy? Isn't
That's
that like
that's
I don't know, I'm even a little shocked.
that's
Like
a
I saw that.
guard Austin Reeves you're talking about.
That's what?
That's A tier shooting guard Austin Reeves.
Whoa, hey, you said it. Yeah, like I saw some pictures of D'Lo, but they're not the official ones. The official ones are, or it's all four of them. It's Austin Reeves, D'Lo, AD, and LeBron, and I'm like, that is
That's an interesting
crazy,
four. So
right? I mean, like if you think about everyone else, I haven't seen Gabe Vincent in any of the media day stuff just yet.
those guys are
Um,
all on the Lakers already, I guess. I mean,
what do you mean?
like
Yeah, like I saw like Rui Hachimura, like but I guess like yeah, they I mean they're signed, so they should be there.
no, I just mean like you said, Gabe Vincent, he's new, whereas like the other guys were on the Lakers roster last year.
Oh yeah. I just meant like I haven't seen besides those pictures. Like I did see like Jackson Hayes in the new Lakers uniform looks great. Didn't see Christian Wood yet. Saw Jared. I'm just naming players now that I like seeing in their fucking uniforms.
Right.
But I saw the Kings.
Explicit warning for the pod.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm excited. I don't know if you can
Not gonna
tell.
edit it. I'll say that right now.
Yeah, everyone was making a big deal about Chris Paul and his Warriors
Yeah,
uniform.
so weird.
Yes,
I was
so
like,
weird.
I don't. I feel like part of it is the Rockets and me when he's on the Rockets and they almost beat the Kevin Durant Warriors, so they go to the finals in like
Yeah.
2017 or whatever. Um, so it's like I feel like he's like a Warriors rival, but now he is a Warrior. So I'm like,
Yeah, Bradley Beal Suns jersey, you know, so many different Kristaps Porzingis and the Celtics jersey. It was weird, but I'm just excited. You know what I mean? And like I said, I got tickets for the home opening game, Clippers versus Blazers. So be repping Blazers. I'll be rooting for Scoot and a couple other people that we're going to talk about in a second. Scoot, is that what you're doing?
yeah.
But yeah, so are we ready to dive into it?
If by it you mean Jimmy Butler's haircut, I'm absolutely because what 2 years in a row. I'm like, what are you doing? If you remember last year, he had no facial hair and the dreads that looked really bad, and it was like his official NBA picture. So every time I'm looking at like anything Jimmy Butler related, I'm seeing that picture, and I'm like, what is wrong with you? And I feel like this year it was a combination of like him being clowned last year because last year he probably just thought it was fine, and then people like made fun of him. He was like embrace that, and then also some stuff he's been doing on social media. Like I don't know if you saw the trade we're going to talk about the Damian Lillard trade. Like as soon as it happened, Jimmy Butler was like, someone should he like put a video on Twitter and he was like, someone should investigate these guys for tampering. So like I don't know if it's like a combination of last year him getting clowned and like this personality he has where he comes with this I think he called it a Karen cut, I think.
Is it? Did he? I didn't see that. I saw him kept referring it to his emo state. Like this is his emotions right now. He's
So
emotional right now.
if you're listening to the pod and you have no idea what we're talking about, don't pause because you don't have to on Spotify or YouTube on their phone anymore. You can like minimize it or whatever. Go to your internet browser of choice and just type Jimmy Butler Media Day and click images, and you'll be surprised.
It'll be right. Yeah, it'll be first. And so I'm surprised by how many people were sharing that aren't NBA fans. I also saw just a ton of people just sharing it because
I think it's just going to become like a meme picture, right? Just
yeah,
a picture people use.
like you said, I think it's a part of like the dreads thing last year and people like saying it looks bad and him just embracing that and making a joke out of it. And I get that's his personality. So I don't hate it, but it definitely strikes me as more of a like as an example, like the Dennis Rodman move, like because like, but he seems definitely more unhinged. Like Jimmy Butler's not unhinged. He knows what he wants. He's like very disciplined player and not like Rodman at all, who's just like flying all over the place. Who knows what? So like, I was a little surprised. Gotta say, I laughed because I mean it is funny, but I saw the official picture that's going to be on everything, and I'm like, I couldn't look at myself that way if I was that, you know what I mean? So like I have a feeling he'll hate it after a bit. You know, like I think it's a thing like you do in the moment, you think it's funny, and people like we're all about hype Dame going to the Heat. Dame going to the Heat, it didn't happen. So now they expect something. She's like, all right, you expect something, here's something, you know, like I'm just gonna clown you and myself.
And he did say, like, sitting there with his hair and his piercings looking ridiculous. Somebody asked him about the trade. He said, "Oh, we're gonna beat Dame. We're gonna beat Giannis. We're gonna beat the Bucks. We're gonna win the title. I was
Yeah.
like, okay.
It's coming from a man with like half his face, like
Yeah, it was
he
kind
looks
of
like like an evil anime character.
that's a great way to put it, dude. Jimmy Butler
Yeah,
is like he literally looks like an anime character right now.
yeah,
In
he
the
really
anime,
does.
that's
I You know what I can't wait for? Please, please, please. I hope he plays like the first game with that hair.
oh
Please, that'd
my
be
god.
so funny. That'd be so funny.
I I was just so confused. I don't understand. Like
Yeah, I
the
mean,
bit is fine, but like you said, the long term, like, oh,
it's
my picture great.
yeah, because I gotta admit, like I hated seeing the Dreads picture last year for everything, and I feel like now I'm just gonna chuckle every time I see it because at least now I know it's on purpose. Maybe last year was a bit of a like, just trying a new thing and didn't work out. So, yeah,
He
that's
tried to
Jimmy.
steal the show from the Dame news, I guess. He like
And I mean,
it
kind
worked.
of, yeah,
Like
like I'm not mad at him. You got to do like it's all like as much as basketball is a physical game, it's psychological too. So like, who knows what this is like, what players or organizations think about this? Like I'm sure like the Heat are using it as fuel to like put their stuff everywhere so people can get hype on like I mean they're just in the finals, right? So it's like it's not crazy to think that he's like blowing smoke when he's saying that stuff, right? Like we
but
could laugh now, but like they did it last
yeah.
year.
They did it
So
last year as the 8 seed. They did it in the bubble as like the 6 seed or something, like a lower.
yeah,
And when they beat the
so
Bucks, they beat the Bucks in both of those years.
yeah,
So
for real.
as
So I mean,
both times, so it's happened.
what would is gonna I hope in whatever how the playoffs end up, I hope it's Bucks Heat at some point. God,
Yeah. Well,
that'd be
I
really
I
sick.
would say I'm even more excited for Bucks Celtics. But we'll get into that after we
Yes, yeah, that is gonna be exciting too. But
the the last
yeah.
kind of media day storyline I wanted to hit with you before we dive into the trade. The listeners I know are dying. They're like, please talk about the trade, please, please. Every
Please.
podcast has talked about it and written articles, and you guys are 7 days behind. I know. Um, but I'm sure you saw Steph Curry and both him and Kevin Durant both commented on wanting to play for the Olympic team next year in 2024. And this is something I talked about in my ISO episode, which I kind of didn't feel great because I know like the FIBA thing was kind of in your like area of expertise. But you weren't here, and I wasn't gonna wait 3 weeks to talk about it because by then this other stuff happened. Um, so yeah, do you have any thoughts or anything on because since you weren't here to talk about it, like the Olympic team forming or anything like that?
Yeah, we covered it a little bit when FIBA, like most everyone was disappointed about how the US ended their run this year in FIBA. LeBron even was saying like afterwards that, we can't do this. Like I'll do the Olympics if I have to, just stuff like that. Um, so I'm not surprised. I was more surprised when I was reading, Steph Curry said he wanted to play for the Olympics. I was more surprised to see that he's never played for an Olympic team, the
Hmm.
US Olympics. Um, which I thought was crazy. I guess I just missed that. So Kevin Durant saying he wants to do it, I see that. He was there last time, and Steph Curry wanted to do that is awesome. I mean, cool. Like when it's the Olympics, these countries should be putting their best players on the team. Everyone in the world knows that our FIBA team this year was not our best.
Right.
That could have been. There was no Jason Tatum's, there was no John Morant's, things of that nature, and um, our Olympic team will be better, and it's just also kind of funny to me that as a country we lost and now we're like we have to prove ourselves.
Yeah.
So
It's
now
like
we have to send our
so
best
you just
people.
set your best people the first time.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think that too, and it's another thing. Like, where do we have to lose in FIBA for everyone to be like, oh, we should send our best people? But um, it's cool to see. I love when basketball players take pride in the game and the country that they're from. So I'm excited to see who else may commit to the Olympics. Seeing Steph Curry in a USA uniform will be very cool, though.
Michael
As he has
Jordan,
not done it.
I'm back.
You might, hey man, Udonis,
Yeah.
the hammer, come back,
The
please.
enforcer.
We need him. But yeah, I mean, that's how do you feel? Have you ever watched? Did you watch the Olympics last 4 years ago, 3 years ago?
I think I dabbled in it a little bit. It was probably more of those things where like I got the highlights because it
Yeah,
in a weird part of the world and played at a weird time, so I probably
yeah,
didn't watch it, when it happened. Um, yeah, it's weird because Olympic basketball is a lot different from NBA basketball. Similar to how FIBA is different from NBA basketball, and I think like I'm so used to the NBA when I watch other basketball. I don't know, like I don't think I don't enjoy it as much. I almost wanted to say I'm confused, but that sounds weird. I'm not confused. I'm just like I'll watch it and I'm like, why isn't this happening? And I'm like, oh, because it's not NBA basketball. Um,
Is it also like, at least when I watch it, sometimes I'm like, okay, I know one team really well, and then the
I
other team, I know
I
nobody.
was gonna say that too. Yeah. I know a decent. I know at least 6, 7, 8 players on every NBA team. Uh,
Yeah.
and coaches and stuff like that for the most part. So when I am watching something like the Olympics or FIBA, it's like, all right, I see all of my USA players from the NBA that I know, and then they're playing Argentina, and there's like one guy from the NBA that I know, and I don't know anyone else.
Yeah, literally. I feel the same. I mean,
Makes it hard to be invested, I guess.
yeah, I totally agree. And it's so funny to me, like last Olympics, it was so funny how NBA players do carry other countries' teams. Like, so Slovenia went all the way. I think they either got bronze or fourth. They were not projected to go all the way, but Luca just did that. He's that guy. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, and without them, they wouldn't even qualified. Like, it's I'm saying it's true and it's
Yeah.
okay. But like,
Slovenia is going to be very mad at you when they listen to this podcast.
look, Slovenia, you're just mad because Lithuania is going to beat you in the Olympics. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say about
The
that.
Olympic, okay. Lithuanian Olympics. Is Sabonis there? Does he show up?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he didn't. He didn't.
Valanciunas? Two best
Yeah,
guys are centers?
yeah. I absolutely think so. I know. I think two reasons why Sabonis didn't do it this year is because I think he had a lingering I think rib issue. He's had some kind of like sprain. I think it was a rib
I
sprain.
wonder what that's
Yeah, I wonder, huh? But he also just had a child. He just had a second daughter, or second child. He has a daughter now, so I
I
think
was
he
gonna
wanted
say,
time
did
at home.
name the child Dominicus? How crazy would that be?
That
Because
was, it's a
I
really
assume
common
his name
name.
is Lithuanian, right? Like that's the origin.
You know what's so funny? Well, his name is, but you know what he named his daughter, and it's actually sickening. My mom texted me mad about it.
What?
They named her 11.
Oh, that's Stranger Things. That's bad.
Because
I've never seen an
because
episode of Stranger Things, but naming your child after a TV show character, that's a number.
it's not even. So the funny thing is, it's not even after that. It's because his number is 11. Like, not on the
That's
Kings, but it was
okay. I
always
gotta figure out
11.
if that's worse or better than
I think it's bad regardless.
I.
It's a
Yeah,
number,
I
not
mean
a
both are
name.
bad.
I mean, even in the show, it's her
No,
name's
yeah, he
11
also doesn't
because she's
bear
like
11,
property.
right? He's number
Hmm?
10 on the Kings, right?
Yeah, he was 11 on Pacers. I think Thunder on Lithuania. He's 11.
Yeah.
Kings, he's 10.
I'm gonna name my child after my jersey number is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't mind when Luca made his anniversary 7-7.
Yeah.
But that's
Okay, the
that's
only
a
issue with
it's
that is like there's another person.
yes,
It's not
yes,
just you.
but you'll never forget it. And at least it's not someone's name. You know what I mean? It's not like
Yeah.
that's going to be carried. Like, she could say July 7th and no one's going to be like, "Oh, like Luka Doncic." Like, some people are not going to, you know what I mean? Someone goes, "Oh, my
My
name's 11." It's like, "Oh, wait, that's a number." You know. That's my opinion on it, but
my
he will
child,
be
July
there.
7th.
Welcome to the world, my child, July 7th. No, but yeah, well, Olympics will be fun. I'm excited to see I mean, Canada is also going to be really good. They were really good this year. Germany will also want to like show that it wasn't a fluke that they won this last year. So,
So,
um,
assuming USA is the favorites to win the gold, as they will be, as they always are in
mhm.
these international stages, who do you think? Who would be your pick to win silver?
Well, I'm biased, so it's tough. But if I'm not trying to be biased, I really like Canada's team. Like watching them this year, like Shea, like a bona fide MVP, RJ Barrett, if Andrew Wiggins plays for them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, who else did they have that was really good? I mean,
That's
they had
that's
Dylan.
tier
It was
forward Andrew Wiggins.
who's what?
I said that's A tier small forward Andrew Wiggins.
I mean, I hate to say it too, but like Dylan Brooks, did you see the last game sunk 7 out of 8 threes? Like
That's
he was
C
just,
tier small forward.
yeah, he was just on a heater like that whole FIBA run, and it's so weird because he's can be so just dry, can't make anything,
Right.
and sometimes he makes it all. So,
He's a micro.
um, sorry.
He's a microwave.
Microwave. Yeah. So Canada, and also, I mean, I don't want to say Germany because I think that's too obvious, but France always somehow finds a way to like be really competitive too. And I know last year they played USA for gold, and they got silver last year too, or last Olympics, obviously. Um, but I think Lithuania has a chance too. They did really, really, really well in FIBA, and they're just going to be better
Yeah.
next year for Olympics. So they do have to qualify, but I'm not worried that they will qualify. It's a lot of rules we're not going to get into right now. Like basically the top four in FIBA are in the Olympics no matter what, and everyone else still has to kind of fight for it.
Got it. I
But
got it.
that's
Got
it.
it. All
Yeah.
right. Um, that's media day. That's Olympics. That's all this other stuff. Now the bulk of the episode, the main topic, the big idea, the thing everyone wants to hear. We're going to talk about this insane trade that I think was pretty surprising to Dom and myself, as well as most people. For a long, 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 long time, it was Dame and his agent said, "We're going to the Miami Heat. That's final. No other teams. Don't even talk to me." And then the NBA was like, "Get fined because you can't do that." Um, and then I think so. I think before I even get into it, I think Miami, is kind of a big loser here. I think they I think because the way it was presented as Damian Lillard only wanted to go to one team, they were like, okay, we can just kind of offer this and maybe they'll accept it rather than like, here's everything. But then all of a sudden, we get a tweet from Woj, Shams, or whoever. Damian Lillard to the Bucks. We're like, whoa. So if you're listening and you haven't read up on this or heard this, here it is. So the Bucks get Damian Lillard from the Trailblazers. The Blazers get Jrue Holiday, DeAndre Ayton, some guy's name I don't know who's a rookie, 2029 first round Bucks pick and a pick swap. And they also get swaps in 28 and 30, I think. So it's
Yeah.
28 and 2030 swap, 2029 unprotected pick. And then the Suns, third team that appeared in this trade, as you may have just heard me say DeAndre Ayton, they get Yusuf Nurkic, Nasir Little, Keon Johnson, Grayson Allen. So, three-team trade kind of happened out of nowhere. The Ayton factor is a part of this too that I don't really think people saw coming as well. And then Jrue Holiday was later flipped, but we're going to talk about that after. First, I just want to tackle the Dame trade. Let's go. I don't know. You asked me earlier, what do I think of it?
Yeah, I just want your let's do initial reaction because
Sure.
I've had time to simmer in it, right? So like
Yeah.
initial reaction, you read that,
Okay.
what goes through your head?
Okay. So, the first like big headline, right, is just like Damian Lillard traded the Bucks. So the first thing I think is, who did they give up?
Yeah.
Um, and I think something that we've talked about before on this podcast was, oh, the Bucks have this really good team, but I'm a little concerned about the depth. And then this trade happens, and I'm like, I know something happened to their depth.
Yeah.
That
No way it's like 1-for-1 or
right.
anything like that.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of my first thing was like, okay, Dame, Giannis. We ranked Dame as an S tier point guard. And we haven't got to power forwards, but can say for certain that Giannis is going to be an S tier power forward, right? So,
Yeah,
two top 15 at worst, 10, players.
yeah,
Hey, Giannis is easily a top 5 player. Dame is top 10, top 15.
yeah,
On the same team in a conference that I think has question marks on some of the other teams, like the 76ers with the James Harden thing. Sounds scary. It's like immediate contender kind of came to my mind. I was like, oh, not contender because they're already a contender. Immediate
yeah,
favorite. Like
yeah.
I have to pick right now. These guys have Dame and Giannis. They're my pick. Coming out of the East for sure. So that's kind of my initial reaction. I thought, the Blazers, on the Blazers aspect of it, getting Jrue Holiday and Ayton, I was kind of like, okay, this is interesting. Not what I expected. Probably better than what they would have gotten from the Heat, which I think the primary offer was like Tyler Hero and some salary filler
Yeah.
and some picks, but they don't have a ton of picks because they've already traded a lot. And then the Suns, I feel like I didn't really even think about them. My initial reaction, I was kind of like, whatever. What
Yeah.
about you? What came to your brain?
So the first thing I thought of, I actually thought of it from the Blazers perspective first. As much as like, I saw Dame goes to the Bucks, I was like, that's crazy. Number one, I was like, not a team I expected. I'll put it that way. And then I saw, what the Blazers got, and then that's what I thought first was like, I like this for the Blazers. Like maybe, um, Damian Lillard is Hall of Famer, and I was like, maybe they should have gotten more, but I'm like, where else could they have gotten? And the more I thought about it, the more I didn't hate it. I really like Jrue Holiday for them. I like DeAndre Ayton getting a change of scenery.
Mhm.
I was mostly happy from that aspect, and I like that they still had a leader in like Jrue Holiday that was going to be like a veteran on the team to kind of like guide these younger guards because they have so many.
Right.
Maybe try to get their like defensive tenacity down and focus on that because like we're not worried about Shaden Sharp and Scoot Henderson's like offensive ability, like it's there. Um,
What better guy to
defense.
mentor guard defense than Jrue
Than
Holiday?
Jrue Holiday, exactly. And we'll get into what happened later, but this is my initial reaction, right? And I was excited, honestly. I was like, I didn't hate it for Portland. Dame goes somewhere I think he'll be happy. Um, and similar to what you said, I just thought Giannis Dame on one team favorite, like you
Yeah,
said. I was like give me any other team in the East, and I could see how Giannis and Dame can get around that. You know what I mean? Like
right.
Dame can shoot from the logo, Giannis can just barrel to the basket. Like, how are you going to stop that? So um, I liked it initially, and like they said, the Suns, I was more like, okay, they get more depth. Yusuf Nurkic will not provide spacing. He's older, but you just need to be able to let KD, Book, and Beal do their thing.
Hmm.
So, I don't love it from that perspective, but they got Grayson Allen, who is a good 3-point shooter. And
F tier guard Grayson Allen, according to our tier.
was he? Oh, he was F
Yeah.
tier, wasn't he? But he's not a starter. You know what I mean?
Not
Like,
anymore.
yeah, definitely not. And he will be fine there,
Yeah.
So I'm not worried about that at all. I forgot is it Keon Johnson, and then
Uh, yeah. Keon Johnson is your little.
yeah, so I don't know them that well. So I was like, okay, a little bit of filler, but they get depth, which is I think what the Suns needed overall, right? And DeAndre Ayton, I just had a feeling if you stay on the Suns, it just would have been another year of him being okay, but him and the organization not getting along and things like that. So I'm just happy mostly for him to get a change of scenery. Obviously, I'm happy for Dame. I know he wants that ring. I hope he gets that ring. And I mean, that was my initial reaction. And then I just reread it over and over again too. I was just like trying to wrap my head around it.
Yeah.
But here's the thing about that. I wrapped my head around it.
Let's
I
go. Let's go team by team. How does that sound? Like,
to the next part, because I was about to go to the next part.
no, I was to say let's tackle this from each. Like, now that we've covered our initial reactions.
Got
Uh,
it.
I mean, I see. You want to say next part? and then we can go team by team.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
say that because
That
that's
makes
because
sense.
like
That makes
that
sense.
makes sense. Yeah. So okay,
Because
like I was
talking about
saying,
yes,
yeah,
sorry,
like I was saying, no, you're good.
host. I'm
Like I
not the
was, you got a co-host now, and
I'm the
so I remember reading over and over again what the trade entailed, and I finally wrapped my head around it.
Mhm.
But then something else happened, and that made me like, holy, wait, I got to reread everything again.
Nothing makes sense anymore.
Nothing makes sense anymore. Do you have it up? Do you want to
I
read?
have it up.
Can
So
you please tell me what happened after that initial trade?
sure. So this original trade was September 27th. Okay, Dom's sitting there trying to wrap his head around it. He finally gets it, and then bam, October 1st, 2 days ago, the Celtics are trading Robert Williams, Malcolm Brogdon, 2024 Warriors first round pick, 2029 unprotected Boston pick to the Blazers for Jrue Holiday. So just like that, your mentoring idea that you just had, and you're like, yeah, this is gonna be really good. Boom, gone out the window, no longer matters. Um, yeah, this we talked about this earlier in the podcast, or maybe it was before we started recording. I don't remember how it surprised me how fast this happened
Yeah.
because it was just.
Uh,
Oh, sorry, what? Huh? What?
I'm agreeing with you.
Yes. Yeah, it caught me off guard. I thought, he was definitely going to be there for some time, and maybe, it could have been a deadline trade, like a contender is one piece away. They think they have a shot. They ship off some assets for Jrue to kind of make that playoff push. No, it took like 4 days. So very fast. And I know like Jrue Holiday provided this was like not as well spoken as the actual trade itself, but like Jrue Holiday provided a list to the Blazers because immediately when he was traded, they were like, "We're going to trade you again." Like they were very honest with him. And he provided them a list, and the Celtics were like on top of that list, like they were one of his more favored destinations. So that's good for him. He got to go somewhere he wants to go. But what happened to you and your brain after you thought you had it figured out and your opinion's ready to go, and then everything flipped upside down on you?
Look, I was a little disappointed because I really like the idea of Jrue Holiday being on the Blazers and mentoring these young guys for a bit at least.
Yeah,
And then I read what the Blazers got. I saw Robert Williams. I was like, awesome, cool. Injury issues, but cool. Young guy, young center, you can kind of build around. Cool. And I saw Malcolm Brogdon, and I was like, older guard, that's good, but injury issues.
yeah,
And I was like, he's not going to be able to mentor the way that will benefit the Blazers in the long run.
hmm,
And then all these picks and stuff, and I was a little disappointed. I'm not gonna lie. Also, I mean, like they got two injury prone guys
right,
for Jrue Holiday, who's like doesn't miss time,
right.
and I'm happy for Jrue going to a contender, but I really feel like with him on the Blazers, they would have maybe pushed for play in, like it wouldn't have been the end of the world, but I didn't love it because now there's two centers that you want to develop on the Blazers. You got Robert and you got DeAndre Ayton. Now there's just a whole bunch of young guards. You got Malcolm Brogdon, who like will be on the bench for probably more of it because he's just a little bit older and injured. I like Malcolm Brogdon quite a bit. I liked him a lot on the Pacers. But he's just gonna get hurt, and I know here's Jeremy Grant, who's like, are they gonna flip him now too?
5 years,
So
$200 million or whatever he's
it's
making,
just
something
it's just
crazy.
yeah, it's just a bit like, so that was my reaction to reading that initially. And what was yours when you saw that?
My initial reaction had nothing to do with the Blazers. It had everything to do with the Celtics.
That's
I
so funny.
thought
I didn't even mention the
he didn't
Celtics.
even mention the Celtics. I I read this trade and I thought, oh, how I just thought the Bucks are the favorite? Maybe the Celtics are the favorite actually. Because like it was like, okay, you have like Bucks and Celtics right here, and then like like Cavs, Heat, Sixers, whatever below. Um,
Yeah.
And then the Dame trade happened, and it was like Bucks here, boom, they're a thing of
Yeah.
the press. And then this trade happened, it's like, all right, the Celtics are right back up there with the Bucks. So yeah, that's kind of what I thought of. I thought, the heart and soul of Marcus Smart being gone. Basically, what he does is replaced in a player that I think is better in Jrue Holiday.
Yeah, I agree.
And they have Porzingis now, so the big man rotation. We were kind of, I think we talked about it in the offseason episode a long time ago about Rob and Al Horford and Porzingis, like who's starting, what does this look like? I think that is going to clear some of that up. Um, and Brogdon was unhappy. I know he was unhappy in Boston, like with his situation. I know that had been like a story I heard in offseason that he wanted
Was it
more of an
the
opportunity. Um, wanted to start probably.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if that's what it was. Okay.
So, you get rid of that problem. So I was like, this is really good for the Celtics. They took another shot here. I think for the Blazers' perspective, and like I said, we'll probably go team by team. More specifically, I don't even think it's players. I think the 2029 Boston first is unprotected is really what they're hoping for. And Tatum and Brown are relatively young, but that's 6 years in the future. So, if they have more, I don't imagine Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum will have 6 years of going to the playoffs. And like, if they don't win a single championship, no way both of those guys will be there in 6 years. So, maybe the team will have fallen off by then or something. I would assume that's the Blazers' hope is like that pick kind of
Yeah.
conveying. And they didn't really with Scoot and Shaden and stuff, I think. And I know Jrue Holiday wanted to be in a contender. That was like his thing. He wants to win. So maybe he didn't want to do that kind of a mentoring, rebuilding role that you were talking about. So, he like, even though he's a good coveted player, I don't think he had a lot of value for the Blazers. So like getting these two guys and maybe Malcolm Brogdon will again be flipped or something. Uh,
Yeah.
and a couple picks. It's just like they're taking assets, like instead of one giant haul for Dame, they're getting assets and like flipping them over and over again and like kind of getting little things from teams that eventually, like when we look at it down the line of all the transactions, it'll be like, oh, I actually got a lot because they kept
Yeah.
pieces.
Yeah, I agree with you. And going like talking about the Celtics, I agree with you as well. Like, imagine the Eastern Conference like matchup Celtics versus Bucks. Like you already know who's gonna be on Dame. It's
Like
like,
something
okay,
terrible
like
has to happen for that Eastern Conference Finals to not happen.
yeah, exactly. And it's just seems like the Celtics are really planning far ahead, and I can't blame them for doing that. I think the moves they made were smart. I know we talked about this in a rotation, like you said, and um I'm not the biggest Celtics fan. Like I like the players they have, but I'm just not a fan. So like
Lakers.
I hate that for this reason, but like now they just have more players I like. Jrue
Yeah.
Holiday is an upgrade from Marcus Smart. I think his IQ is higher. He's a better defender, better on offense.
One of those players has one defensive player of the year.
I know, which doesn't make any sense to me. Like, it just doesn't. But I the Celtics are formidable.
Yeah.
And the Bucks are too. I think what the Celtics have maybe over the Bucks is a little bit more depth.
Yeah.
But all I hope for is that throughout the entire season, all these teams stay healthy because
Yeah.
like this in the
Absolutely.
postseason is going to be crazy. And we'll see what happens with the Blazers and what else they might get. I mean, the package already for Dame it doubled. You know
Right.
what I mean by getting Jrue Holiday, and I mean if you even think back, like remember how much the Bucks gave up for Jrue Holiday?
A lot.
So much,
A
and
lot.
they got their ring, so I guess
Right.
they're like it's enough to like flip, but it's a lot. We should go team by team right now
Let's
because
go.
I'm a little
Yeah,
yeah.
there's a lot. There's a lot going on. It's a lot of moving pieces. Um,
Maybe should we do like least impacted to most impacted? It's like Suns. We could just get out the way.
yeah, sure. We can do it that way.
Does that make sense? Just
Yeah, yeah.
because
All right, I hear what you're saying
I
for
don't
sure.
want to dwell. So like Suns perspective, DeAndre Ayton wasn't happy getting rid
Wasn't
of
happy.
him.
Some years of unhappiness.
Yeah, I mean, it
They
should have
fired
happened
Monty
sooner.
Williams and then got rid of the guy he was having the most problems with. So I
It's
don't.
so bizarre to me.
Frank
But
Vogel, like I'm gonna make DeAndre Ayton a defender.
it's like, oh, you're just gonna get me Yusuf Nurkic, who's not really a defender, but okay. Um, so they get him and they get more depth, and I don't hate it for the Suns. Like, in all honesty, I don't think it makes them. I don't think it makes them better. Like, it doesn't make me put them higher in the West or lower. They are where they were to me. Because I feel like these guys are gonna do their job. They're gonna be on the bench, or Yusuf Nurkic will just get rebounds and pass it back out to KD or Beal, and they're going to do what they need to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't, for the Suns, I'm kind of neutral. I'm like, I don't hate it. I don't love it. I think it worked fine for for everyone involved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So here's my thing with the Suns. I think this is an addition by subtraction, right? I think with the core of Booker, Beal, KD, and the kind of ego that DeAndre Ayton has shown in the past, the role he desires that he doesn't get on the Suns because he came into them so young and then they kind of immediately became a contender. So he didn't really have a chance to kind of develop his game and be the guy he wants to be because they're like, well, actually, we need you to do this because we're trying to win. You get rid of that problem. So now you can focus on the guys that your team should be built around rather than trying to like keep him happy.
Right.
I will say though, like I do think back to last offseason when they matched his contract offer with the Pacers, which was a max contract. And you go back to last offseason, it's like you couldn't sign and trade him for Miles Turner and Buddy Hield. Like how good would those guys be for the Suns?
Especially
and
Buddy Hield.
and and the Pacers, they're trying to rebuild. So like I think about stuff like that, and it's like maybe there was different avenues they could have shipped Ayton off for like more like ready now pieces to complement their guys, and a team that's looking for a guy to build around like Ayton. So I don't love the package that they got, especially because like I know they're contending, but I don't like that they didn't get any future assets. And I say that because even though they're contending now, they have none of their first round picks for 7 years, from like now to 2030. It's either a pick they sent out or a swap because you can't trade consecutive picks because of the stipend rule. So it's either they sent out their pick or they have a swap for the next 7 years. So getting another team's like pick could have at least rebuilt your assets in that way, which I know they're contending, but like you can't tell me you're not going to draft somebody in the next 7 years. Like that's crazy.
That is crazy to think about. I
and there's second round picks, but those guys like rarely work out. So yeah, that part I don't love. Grayson Allen, I've really been negative about him on this podcast. But I think that's a really good pickup for them. That's a good that's a guy that's going to come off the bench. He's going to shoot threes. He's going to play some okay defense, and that's exactly what you need around there.
And he's young, you know what I mean? So he's not like some older guy on a vet minimum or something,
Right. So yeah, I like that. I think Nas Little and Keon Johnson are younger guys that are like not exactly proven. So they may get spot minutes here and there to see if they can kind of fill that role and become role players, and maybe one of them works out.
Yeah.
I do worry a little bit about Nurkic because he's not a great defender.
He's also a little bit older, had injuries. So,
and I feel like one of the things the Suns were like annoyed with Ayton was the fact that he wouldn't like drive and dunk and pick and roll and things like that. And Nurkic doesn't really do that either. he's like a little jump post hook guy, and that's like the exact thing the Suns didn't like Ayton doing. So, like I feel like Nurkic's like personality is a little different, so getting him to buy in and not do those things may be a little easier. But it's like I think championship team like the Suns want to be. My starting center is not Yusuf Nurkic.
It's not ideal by any means. I agree with you there, and I think they really just want him, like you said, to buy into this. Like you are there to grab rebounds, and you are there to body the other person's center. Like I think DeAndre Ayton also had a physicality problem, so it's really easy for bigger centers to kind of bully him. So Yusuf Nurkic is bigger. He can bully back a little bit. He's older, so he's not gonna be able to do an amazing job, but he'll do a little bit better than DeAndre Ayton. But
Yeah.
I think that's what they're hoping for, and maybe someone better comes out in the buyout market later. You never know. So
Also trying to think, and then I'm like, I have no idea who any other center on the Suns roster is. Like, I think they might still have Bismack Biyombo.
I
I
was just about to say this. I was trying to say like Saric, not
I
there.
think Bol signed there.
Bull
Like,
Bull is there. Bull
um,
is there. I remember I saw him on the
funny
media
media day
day
too.
stuff.
He had a media.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Um, so it's like they don't have any great center depth, which is also not amazing because you think of the championship teams like your Lakers bubble team, for example. It was like Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, which are both old guys, but literally all they did was play defense and rebound. And that's all you needed. And I
Yeah,
just don't know if like any of the guys on the Suns roster can do that to like a level
yeah.
you need for a championship team.
I agree. And yeah, I agree. But I also feel like if DeAndre Ayton was on the team, it also didn't really make them that much better for me in the West. You know what I mean? Like they still have this. We're gonna have the same issues they have had the last few years. So
Yeah,
um,
like I guess it's different for me because I saw Ayton on the 2021 final Suns where he like
yeah,
guarded Jokic really well and they like swept him that series and then he guarded Giannis like decently and they were competitive in that series where it's like
yeah,
Nurkic, it's like I haven't seen it. I don't know if he can be.
true. Well, I guess we'll find out this year.
Sorry, what
But
were you gonna say? I kind of cut you off.
no. That was everything I wanted to say about that. Just that the Suns, like I said, are just they're where they were for me
Yeah.
before, basically.
If
Um,
they're healthy, they're gonna be a contender. One of them goes down. Who knows?
exactly. Yeah, you're just gonna load them up on offense, like just go crazy, and hopefully you get enough points that your defense will matter as much. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
Shoot tackle.
yeah, I was like, who's next? Because
I
I feel
guess
like
I
the
guess
next three are kind of all relevant.
I would say Blazers, and
Blazers,
then,
yeah,
yeah, because the other two are like more contenders.
right.
I feel like. So for the Blazers, so they ended up with Robert Williams,
Yeah.
Malcolm Brogdon, DeAndre Ayton, um, Tamara Kamara, right?
Dumani Kamara, yeah. That was the name. I
Tumani
was like, I don't want
Kamara.
to say that name because
Yeah. And that's that, and a lot of picks, and a lot of picks.
a lot of picks,
So,
yeah.
so for me, as somebody who watches basketball, like I understand the value of picks, but I'm not someone that prioritizes picks over players ever.
Mhm.
That's just me. And that's why I'm not a general manager because I'd be terrible at it. I would just be getting players and no picks. Um, so like you talking about them wanting to get these picks, I understand. I kind of wish they got. I understand. I guess they're kind of popping more into a rebuild
Mhm.
right now. Um, I think I just have to see what they flip for Jeremy Grant. He's like the last piece that doesn't fit.
Yeah. What what if he doesn't get flipped?
If he doesn't
I
get
think it's a
flipped, he
big possibility
better.
that doesn't happen.
If he doesn't get flipped, then he better play his brains out. You know what I mean? Like he better like I don't know. So okay, let's say as a team right now, starting five with Anthony Simons, Scoot,
Anthony Simon, Scoot, Shaden Sharp, Jeremy Grant, DeAndre Ayton.
DeAndre Ayton. So okay, so you're lacking. He better be a great defender. He better
Yep.
play like all-star level defense, same as Andre Ayton. You better hope these guards buy into try to be better defenders.
Yeah.
And they're also all small. I think they're all like 6'2".
Uh, yeah. Well, I think Scoot is the smallest at like 6'1" or 6'2". I think Anthony is like 6'3", and then Shaden Sharp's like 6'6". He's actually
Is he really? I thought it was way shorter than
yeah,
that.
he's
But
bigger than he plays like
yeah,
a slashing shooting guard, but kind of like a I don't want to compare him with Tracy McGrady because he's really young, but like Tracy McGrady was like 6'8", but he didn't
yeah,
play like he was like 6'8". He played
yeah.
like
That's
a
crazy to
shooting guard.
me. To me, T Max like 6'6". That's
Right.
crazy. So like I guess I have questions regarding defense, and I can't even tell you the depth. I don't even know who else is on the Blazers to like provide this depth. You got Robert Williams off the bench, sure.
Yeah.
But it's like I feel like they took too many steps back. I didn't hate it with Jrue Holiday on the team, but I know like they wanted him to be happy. They want to get more picks. So, how it all ended up, they are rebuilding. So, I mean, they're gonna do that. They're gonna be fun to watch. I'm excited to see Scoot opening day, and DeAndre Ayton is a
Is
player
that
I've
like
always
the
liked.
okay, like the first day of the season?
I don't know if it's the first day of the season. It's the first Clippers home game
Yeah,
for
because I
sure.
know like some teams don't play until like the third day of the season, which is weird.
Yeah, when you talk about it, I'll look up what the first day of the season is and everything.
Okay,
But
we're exposing
yeah.
podcast secrets right now.
What's up? Exposing podcast secret?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. Our managers in the chat. Can y'all look that up for our producers in the chat? Can you please look that up for us real quick?
yeah.
Um, but I mean that's how I feel. I'm a little disappointed. I just want to see. Oh, I guess Malcolm Brogdon would he start?
No,
You don't think he'll start, even though he wants to start?
I don't think so.
I don't think he should either. Like
I think it's going to be Scoot and Freddie Shaden. I think they're going to commit to that starting.
and I think they should. I think they should. For what they have, like I think that's the right
Chris
idea.
Murray, rookie Chris Murray.
Chris Murray was fun to watch at Summer League.
Ibu
Uh,
Dianco Baji. That's a
oh,
guy on their team.
how do you feel about the Blazers?
How do I feel about the Blazers? I think my opinion is more positive than yours. And here's the main reason, okay? I've spent most of my high school, college, post-college life watching Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum, and then Damian Lillard and Anthony Simons and Norman Powell and all these people be okay. I think the highest seed there ever was like 3 seed. Um,
Yeah,
and every year they're in the playoffs. They may make it to the second round. I know one year they made it to the conference finals against the Warriors and got swept, and that was the furthest they ever made it. So I think I'm glad that the years of the Blazers being mediocre is over. I'm glad they're just going to be bad,
yeah,
especially when I look at the West and I look at the Nuggets and the Suns and the Lakers and the Grizzlies and the Clippers if they're healthy. All these other teams that have like established superstar talent that people are going to pick to go far in the playoffs. Like even with Jrue Holiday, the Blazers had no shot. Like they could have been a 10 seed, and it's like great. And like I guess the benefit of that is your young guys get some postseason experience, and
yeah,
that can kind of cultivate a winning culture over time. But like as as not fun at times as it's been to be a Rockets fan over the 3 years. I was really glad that we ended up with the top three pick like over and over again, and like we're figuring out who our guys are and developing them. We're not super worried. It's like the Rockets have been doing it to an extreme. Like we're so bad that it might develop bad habits, which is not good. So I don't like obviously I think like this year how we have Fred and Jeff Green and Dylan Brooks, like some guys that are going to bring, I think, some of that culture to the locker room. Um, the Blazers, I think they needed to get into rebuild mode, especially if they're going to trade, arguably the best player in their franchise history. They got him somewhere where he didn't want to go, but somewhere that is a better contender than Miami. So I'm happy. I hope that he's happy. I know he didn't want to go there, but like playing with Giannis on the Bucks, they won a championship 2 years ago. Like that has to be hopefully good for him. Um,
yeah,
and yeah, I think especially looking at how it was framed, how Dame requested a trade, which I guess no one really thought was going to happen because not that long ago he was like, "I'm here to be a Blazer regardless of whatever they decide to do, rebuild or not." And then he turned that around to, I only want to go to this one team," and that one team was offering Tyler Hero and Kyle Lowry and 2 pick swaps because they don't have any picks to trade. To turn that into this package so far and possibly more if they flip more pieces, I think it's good for them. They had Scoot fall to them in the draft, number 3, which is like awesome because they jumped up a little bit in the draft. And then I feel like as soon as that Scoot pick was made, it was like, okay, we have to like we have to give this guy the keys right away.
Yeah.
And we have to clear up the room for him. And Jrue Holiday wanted to go to a contender. I also think he's too good of a player to like you can't not play him.
Yeah.
And he probably would have started too because he's such a good player.
Yeah.
That even if he was mentoring and all that, I worry it would have taken away some play time from some of those young guys. Um, so I'm happy that they're like actually committing to the rebuild. I know it sucks for fans because they're like, oh man, we can't even like cheer for Dame time in the first round of the playoffs anymore. That sucks. And he gave him some great moments. You know he had the shot against the Thunder, and then he walked away and did this. And then he had the picture where he's in the huddle and he's just looking at
Yeah.
like deadpan at the kid. That picture is so good. That picture is
So fucking good.
and
Again, I did it, but I can't help it.
those are moments that like Blazers fans I'm sure will cherish forever, even though it was like in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Um, and that's like modern Blazers fans, that has to be like their goat, like even though
Yeah.
there's Clyde Drexler and Bill Walton who won
Arvydas Sabonis.
Arvydas Sabonis. Those guys are older, so a lot of new Blazer fans probably don't resonate with them. And I feel like Dame is such an icon that like if you're gonna get rid of him, now it's like boom, Scoop has the keys right away. Like you already have something
You
else
have
to attach yourself to. Which is really exciting because even when the Rockets started rebuilding, I was like, who am I supposed to care about? I don't have any of that. And then they drafted Jalen Green, and even when they drafted Jalen Green, I was like, we shouldn't have drafted this guy. So
Yeah.
it was like, I think it's good for them. I think it'll be good in the future. I'm excited to see what this year holds. I'm excited to see how their rotation works out. Like who's going to kind of. I feel
Yeah.
like I want to use the word breakout. I feel like I've also been talking for a really long time, so I'm trying to finish. But
You're good.
I feel like I want to say breakout. Like who's gonna be the guy for their team?
Yeah.
Um, all of a sudden, because now it's not Dame anymore. It's a bunch of young guys that have shown like flashes here and there, but who's gonna really like take the reins? Um, one last thing I will say I'm a little worried about DeAndre Ayton's character issues, role desires leaking over into Portland. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you want to give the keys to Scoot or Shaden Sharp, probably, and I think Anthony Simons is probably like fine number two, number three, not the guy though.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Jeremy Grant is basically a very good role player. I think he's fine with that. I'm
Yeah.
worried about Aiton wanting to be the guy, and like that becomes a conflict with the guards, Shaden and Scoot, that I think are supposed to lead the way.
Yeah, I really hope that, that's not the case, obviously. I hope it
Yeah.
was more not just his ego, but other egos around
Mhm.
that kind of, shaped the situation into what it ended up being. I really hope it's more of a, symbiotic relationship where, Scoot has the keys and Scoot and DeAndre have a connection that is almost impossible to stop, like, maybe imagine a pick and roll with them. Like, it could be really good. The thing is, we don't know, like you said, and
Right.
I understand that as a worry. I hope that's not the case because I think he can be really good. And I mean, even we didn't talk about like Robert Williams. Like, do you think he could, start over DeAndre Ayton if there's issues? I guess there's a possibility, but
I wanted to say this earlier. I remember looking back at like I think it was draft stuff for DeAndre Ayton before he was drafted.
mhm.
And he said, I want to be a really good power forward. And I was like, because I guess he wants to shoot and like play outside the paint a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, so maybe he
Him
can
at the
live that dream
four.
now. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be what Robert Williams at the 5, him at the 4,
That would
Jeremy
make
Grant at the 3.
that would make no sense.
It would be. There's no
That's $200 million
spacing.
coming off the bench.
No, I agree. But I was just talking about just everybody
Yeah.
involved, and I think Robert Williams is an awesome player, of course.
Robert Williams coming off the bench, I feel like makes sense only because his injury history. I feel like
Yeah,
having him in a role where he has like a limited amount of playing time to keep him on the court season long is fine.
yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. And you made a lot of good points. Like, while you're talking, like I am glad that even though there's no Dame time anymore, there is Scoop. right, and they're
Time.
shading. Scoot time. Scoot. Scoot.
Yeah, that's gonna be
Yeah,
a shoot
scoot.
a buzzer beater and just do this.
Yeah, scoot. That'd be so funny. But it's not the end of the world for the Blazers, right? Like it's not like they just have trash players. Like they have really good players.
Right.
And I am excited to see what they do. And I looked it up, so that actually is the first day of the NBA season.
That's gonna be
Uh,
awesome. It's gonna be a
Not the
great
preseason, but
environment.
it's the first game of the season.
I'm excited.
So
I'll be there.
you better. I'm going with Maria. It's gonna be really fun. So
Shout out Maria.
shout out. But yeah, so that I think that covers Blazers, right? I mean, they're getting back into a rebuild, and
But fans have something to be excited about.
exactly. I am happy.
Not Tyler Hero.
Yeah, that would have been bad. That would have been really. I would have been livid. A lot of people would have been livid. I'm sure if that's what. Then yeah, 4 guards. I'm like, come on, that you want to develop is just not worth it.
But
but
before we get to the Bucks Celtics,
yeah,
I actually think it is important to talk a little bit about Miami.
you do want to bring up Miami.
I do want to bring up Miami. And I said this when I talked about the trade originally. I think they're big losers here. I think, like, you had a guy that wanted to go to your team and you didn't get him. And he's like a top 10 guy in the NBA. And I feel like most of the reason is because you were giving the Blazers BS offers because you knew he wanted to go there. And then he didn't go there. And not only did he not go there, he went to another team in your conference that's going to be awesome. And then not only did another that happen, then Jrue Holiday went to the other team in your conference that's also going to be awesome. So it's like you really just messed up. And I know Jrue Holiday, the Heat were also in talks for Jrue Holiday after he got traded. So they lost out both times. And not only that, now you have Tyler Hero probably in the back of his mind all season is like, these guys really were trying to trade me over and over and over and over again, but I'm still here and I'm still like the second best player, third best player on the team. So like now you have your third best player essentially. You know that he knows you're trying to ship him out all off season. And now you want that guy to come back and like help you win. So it's like it just sucks. It sucks for the Heat. They lost Max Strus, they lost Gabe Vincent. Like I don't Like I know we talked a little earlier about how he always managed to get it done, but I don't see how they're going to do it this time.
We say that every year. I just got to say it again. We say that every year because I thought the same. But I agree with you. The tactic of I don't want to go to any other team but this team will never work. You know what I mean? Like, so James Harden is doing like his Clippers thing. He's not going to go to the Clippers.
Right.
I'm sorry. And then even whenever they did the whole Ben Simmons for James Harden thing, they weren't explicitly both like, we want to go to these teams. It was just like, maybe these GMs got agents, players, just don't say what team you want to go to. Okay. Like it's not gonna it's almost impossible for that to happen unless you can like sign there in free agency, So it's like I do feel bad for the Heat, but they could have offered something better.
Yeah.
They want to Dame that bad, offer Bam.
I think I was listening or I was reading something from this guy Howard Beck, who's a sports writer that I really like.
Yeah.
And he brought up an interesting point. And it was kind of what you were just touching on. It applies to Dame. It also applies to Harden. If you pigeonhole your team into trying to get to one place, you're taking away the option for that team to try to make a competitive market.
Yeah.
If you give a team a list, if you're like, here's 5 teams, here's 10 teams, then those teams start competing with each other. And I like Ramble do that. They start competing with each other. That's what I tried.
I heard you.
And then the price goes up. So then you get more back. But when you say, I'm only going to this team, then the 28 other teams are out. And it's just your team and the team you want to go to. And it's just like a two-way street. And they just kept hitting a wall where they were not on the same page. Whereas if you say, I really want to go to a contender, some examples are blank, blank, blank. But then, one of those teams is Miami and you really want to go there, maybe they'll have the more competitive offer and they'll make it better. So I think they, it was really on Dame's and his agent, I think. doing that, and that's why he's not in Miami. But I did want to point out, like, sucks for Miami. They didn't get a person that said they wanted to go to their team, and not only that, but the two other teams in their conference are
Better.
top tier contenders now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad we did talk about the Heat because they did matter. And so also since we're talking about it, what do you think of like the likelihood of tampering, or what do you think about what Jimmy Butler said? Do you think he just kind of like blowing smoke just because?
Okay. Here's what I don't understand about tampering. I understand I understand the idea of tampering. How does this trade happen without like
Someone calling
Bucks,
someone,
Blazers,
yeah.
Suns? Like, where did the Suns come from? Like, how does this package where players from each team are going to other teams happen without there being some sort of like tampering involved? Like,
Yeah, I don't.
how does Allen end up on the Suns? I don't understand.
Yeah, it had to have been like these GMs are working together. I think that's the whole thing. Is like players can't influence players,
Hmm.
and the agents can't influence players and things like that. It has to be all through the GM. So the G like I don't know if all 30 GMs just have like a group chat and they're like, hey, like anyone want Dame?
Hey,
Sounds are like, hey, like we were trying to get rid of DeAndre Ayton. Like, you want to throw a Yusuf Nurkic my way, a little bit and spice it up. Maybe we can get some Drew Holiday in. It's just things like that. I don't get it either, but I think
what
those are the avenues they have to go through.
was Jimmy Butler's comments related to like the Giannis stuff? Him saying how he doesn't want to be a contender if I don't.
The video literally just says, "Hey, NBA just got to say y'all got to look into this tampering."
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
watched the video. I was like, I don't understand.
I don't get it either because what Giannis did is also not tampering. Like,
Yeah,
he didn't say I want Damian. He was like Damian Lillard. I've called him. I want him on my team. Whatever. He just
yeah,
said, that I want to be a champion and I'm going to be where I need to be a champion. So
and we haven't gotten to the Bucks yet, but he did reiterate even after they got Dame. He said, "I'm still not signing an extension. Uh, we'll see what happens." So,
wait, really? So what's going on with that? So does he have to sign up before the season starts or no?
no, it's just like I think he is like this is the last year of his deal, so
Yeah.
he's eligible to sign an extension during the course of this season. And he basically, the I talked about this in the ISO episode. Um, like he basically came out before like and said, "Look, guys, I'm not going to sign an extension if I don't think the Bucks are in a good place." Just so no one's like surprised, just so like we don't get to the end of the season, I leave and people are like, "What happened? Why didn't he stay?" He's just like, "If the Bucks aren't going in the right direction, I'm not going to sign a thing." And then after the Dame trade, he was like, "This doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to sign an extension." He still just kind of reiterated that point.
That's so interesting because, like, I mean, I watched a little bit about like Giannis's like reporters asking him about Dame being there, and Dame, you know, just interviews with both of them, and I mean, they both seem really excited, and Giannis is excited, but he's like, I just want us to get to work right now. And Dame is more like, I've never been in a situation like this where there's other players, there's better players than me on a team. You know what I mean?
Crazy. He was
And
like LaMarcus Aldridge on his team.
I know, I was like, I never thought about it that way, but I mean, it is exciting, I think, for both of them. But I do understand. I'm a big fan of loyalty.
Mhm.
But I know that human want of more, right? So I think getting Dame is a great start, but I guess Giannis wants to see what it's like on the floor, which I totally understand. Like, who
Yeah.
knows? It could be. It's not gonna, but it could be a disaster,
Well, let's
and
get it. Let's get into the Bucks.
let's
Let's.
get in the Bucks, and then we'll finish. Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned a little bit,
Mhm.
so I'll just say a little bit of what I think.
Sure.
I just want to say that I am happy for Dame. I think him and Giannis are scary, scary good, and I'm a little worried about their depth. If I wasn't before, I am now. But the
They
thing
got
is,
six guys. After that, I'm not sure.
for real, but after you run a 7 to 8 person rotation when postseason comes around, just get a good enough seeding that you're good for the postseason. Um, I just like I said earlier, I just want them to be healthy. If they're healthy, they're good. They're really good. Um, just a little bit like, I'm just trying to think about who's your starting five. Let's talk about this right now. So
Okay.
we got Damian Lillard,
Yeah.
point guard, shooting guard.
This is the biggest question mark in the whole roster.
Yeah, Pat Connaughton.
Pat Connaughton is the answer, by the way. That's the start.
Yeah, and
However,
then
and then you
yeah,
have Middleton, Giannis.
Middleton, Giannis, and Brook Lopez. Yeah,
However, what if I pitch to you? I was just thinking about this.
yeah.
Dame, Middleton at the 2, Giannis at the 3, Bobby Portis at the 4, and Brook Lopez.
Crazy eyes, crazy eyes.
That would be that would be a crazy lineup.
That would be crazy.
That could be like their closing lineup, probably.
Yeah, I feel like Connaughton. Well, Bobby does provide spacing too, but I mean, Pat Connaughton's not bad. I feel like that's probably what they'll start.
Just look at the other 4 guys. I was like, and fifth, Pat Connaughton. It's like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, like, so they got Robin Lopez.
Question: where do you think Pat Connaughton falls in our shooting guard tier ranking?
I thought we put him in like D tier.
We didn't rank him because he wasn't starting. It was Grayson Allen.
Oh right, oh right, that's what it was.
So Grayson Allen's F tier. Where's Pat Connaughton?
I like. I don't know if I like him more. I like Pat Connaughton quite a bit.
F tier. He's F tier.
He's F tier though. I mean, you compare to the rest of the league, yeah. Damn. But okay, so then you got Robin Lopez.
Pat Connaughton, got... MLB first round pick in the draft.
Really?
Yeah. Out of high school, he got drafted in the first round in the MLB. And then he played college basketball and then just went to the NBA instead of going to the MLB.
Cool. Happy for him. You got Marchand Beauchamp, right? That's like a rookie or something.
Marchand Beauchamp. I don't think he's a rookie this year.
Yeah, he's like a second.
There's a guy
player. But anyways, okay, so like there are question marks for me. Although the Bucks starting lineup, except for the shooting guard position, is really good.
It's
like
really...
it's almost like top 10 players in each position for sure.
Right.
You know? So it's just how sustainable is that is my question, but I am excited for it. I'll tell you that much. And I think Giannis having a definite co-star, as much as we love Cash Money and Jrue,
love him.
They are not like Giannis Antetokounmpo level. They're not Damian Lillard,
Yeah, I mean,
so I'm excited to see them both.
Holiday I think, is an A tier point guard. I think we ranked Chris Middleton as an A tier small forward. Dame was like the second best point guard. He was like S tier, close to the top. So
exactly. So that's how I feel. I'm excited that they both get to two greats of the game will finally get a chance to play together.
NBA 75 players, I think.
Yeah. Okay, so what do you think?
Yeah, like I said, my initial reaction was like, oh, the Bucks are the favorite. And I don't, like now that some days have passed, I think it's tough. I think, I wonder in my brain why I feel like my opinion of the Bucks is more positive than the Suns. And I'm not sure why, because I feel like the situations are similar, where there's like obvious superstars and then the surrounding talent is maybe a little bit of a question mark. I think really what it is I have full belief in Giannis in the playoffs. That guy's awesome. And Dame, even though he's been on less successful teams, has also been awesome in the playoffs. He has had great moments. He does not shy away. And as much as we both love Jrue Holiday, we've talked about that a lot. I know, like, looking into it, his like shooting in the playoffs had been inconsistent. He hasn't been as good as they need him to be on offense. The defense was awesome. Brook Lopez, Giannis, Jrue Holiday, like, defense was great in the playoffs, especially. But like their half court offense, was kind of a struggle because like Giannis would get points running up the floor in transition, and then like we had Middleton injured, so a lot of their half court offense was kind of like not great. But now you have Dame. That that solves all those problems. Like
Yeah.
mentioned, you know, him and Giannis working together, like that pick and roll. You have Dame or Giannis set a pick for Dame. Dame goes to the other side. If you switch, he's hitting a step back, whatever three over a slow 7 foot guy, or he's throwing it to Giannis, who's dunking on a point guard. If you don't switch, he's probably open for a little too long, and he's gonna shoot like an open three. So it's
Yeah.
like they're like just the pick and roll between those two players. I feel like it's going to be insane because Giannis is such a good roller and a good lob catcher, and Dame is such a good shooter and a good passer. It's like I don't know how you stop that half court offense now. And then you have also on the court, by the way, Brooke Lopez is a great 3-point shooter. Bobby Portis is a great 3-point shooter. Chris Middleton, who is a great 3-point shooter, and him and Giannis were doing a lot of those pick and rolls when it wasn't Jrue Holiday. So you have Damian Lillard doing that now. So the offense like skyrockets, and I think some of the defensive concerns you might have with the Lillard Connaughton backcourt. Well, you got almost defensive player of the year Brooke Lopez in the paint, and you have actual defensive player of the year like a couple years ago, Giannis, like being a help defender. So you have kind of like what the Cavs have going on with Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. They have like front court defense to make up
comparison.
For their lack of guard defense. But the offense is like way through the roof. So it's give and take, but I think as much as we love Jrue Holiday, the offensive upgrade to Damian Lillard is going to be huge for them in the playoffs because I think that was kind of their biggest issue getting into ruts. The depth is, of course, a question. If basically any of those core four get injured, I become very concerned.
That's
performance.
Yeah.
So, but that was probably the same before. It's like Chris Middleton was injured. I think that's a big reason why they didn't beat the Celtics a couple years ago, and then Giannis was injured in the first round. They lost to the Heat this past year, so I feel like every year if somebody's injured, regardless of the depth, it kind of doesn't matter. So, assuming health, I think these guys are going to be awesome. I'm very excited to see it on court.
Yeah, me too. Especially that pick and roll that you mentioned. Yeah, they're going to be fun. It's just going to be something that we've never seen before from both players, which is going to be really nice, exciting. And speaking of a team that's not going to be, there's not going to be that much of a difference because they were able to replace pieces that they needed. The Celtics.
Yeah, still surprised. I'm like, huh?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Like, I really just don't know how they pulled off, like how they had this stuff, to. I mean, how many picks do the Celtics have? They probably don't have their picks for the next 7 years either. Or something.
Not a ton anymore after Porzingis and Jrue Holiday now. I was gonna say something and it literally just left my brain.
You're good. I mean, I can start a little bit. I with the addition of Jrue Holiday, you still got Derek White, obviously Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown.
I think it's really good that they kept Derek White.
Porzingis, I think so as well. They got Al Horford off the bench. They have other bench guys I know are good. I'm blanking on their names. And, but the biggest thing is you have the two players who are the most important to your franchise, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. And now you're giving them a point guard, a really good point guard, and someone who's going to be able to defend. And you have Porzingis. I'm like, how? Okay, so like,
who's their starting?
Who's starting who?
Who's their starting five? What are you going to say? How does what?
I was going to say, how do they have pieces to kind of stop everybody?
Right.
Maybe the only person I can't see them stopping is Giannis, but like who can,
Right.
But the thing is you have one of the best defenders. He'll be able to guard Dame. Jason Tatum is fine at defending. Jaylen Brown's fine defending. Porzingis is big and tall. So like, and starting shooting guard, I don't know. Is it probably Derek White? Unless you want him coming off the bench. Or Peyton Pritchard.
I think they have the same option that I pitched as the Bucks. Okay. I think Jrue, Tatum, and Brown and Porzingis are definitely all starting. So the fifth person can either be Al Horford, if you want to start Porzingis and Al Horford, because Porzingis is not a good rebounder.
Well,
Even
they can both stretch the floor too.
he's 7'3", he's never been a great rebounder.
This is crazy. They both stretch the floor. They can both make threes, which is
Or like you said, you start Derek White and you start him at like the 2 or whatever, and then Porzingis
yeah,
5. But then like it's Porzingis, Tatum, Jaylen Brown as your front court, which is like a little scary in terms of like not I don't want to say defense. It's because like Tatum and Brown are good defenders, but like
yeah,
your big defense specifically. Uh,
yeah,
like you go against a Giannis, that starting 5 goes against a Giannis is like, oh, that's a little scary. Or like
yeah.
an
Because they're just
Embiid.
gonna,
It's like
they're just
Embiid's
gonna,
gonna just murder Porzingis.
yeah, they're just gonna keep fouling, them, and they'll get in foul trouble and stuff like that.
Yeah. So like
So
that is a little concerning. Yeah.
yeah, but even then, without the Drew Holiday trade, they were contenders, right? So like now it just makes them even better than they were before. It's almost like they traded away Marcus Smart knowing they were going to get Drew Holiday.
Which they
NBA looking at tampering.
Look at
NBA
that.
looking at
Hey,
tampering.
NBA, listen. I know you're listening, Adam Silver. Listen.
Looking at tampering. Looking at tampering.
The biggest loser of this trade is
The Washington Wizards.
the Bucks. They trade Drew Holiday, and then he comes right back to the Celtics.
And yeah,
Like competing
back to a contender.
playoff.
Yeah.
That like I like when they traded, there's no way they thought this guy's going to end up on like the other best team in the East.
For sure, because I wasn't thinking that either. I doubt anyone was. Like it was just almost unbelievable because, like, how do they get the pieces right? But I didn't know. I didn't think Robert Williams. I thought he was a untouchable. I thought they were going to keep him around for a while. But I guess they thought not. So, and they found a team that would take Malcolm Brogdon,
Yeah, 6 man of the year, Malcolm Brogdon.
which I still,
They lost 6 man of the year, Malcolm Brogdon. They
DPOI.
lost DPOI, Marcus Smart. You guys are falling apart.
Don't win an award in Boston, guys. That's all
You
I'm
will
gonna
be
say.
traded. Tape's on
Um.
EP this year and then get traded.
Oh my God, that'd be insane. But I mean, you put the two together, it's like you put Bucks versus Celtics, and like who wins? It goes 7 games. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, and of course, in that kind of scenario, you got to assume health, right?
yeah,
Both of these teams have players on both sides with injury concerns.
yeah,
I'm excited for the Drew Holiday Celtic era. I think that's something they needed. Like Marcus Smart
yeah.
was that, but like you kind of said this earlier. I think Drew Holiday is that to an even more of an extent.
He's just has a more defined role, whereas I feel like Marcus Smart is younger. He's still like, I don't know. I feel like he has to prove himself, even though he won DPOY. I don't know why he play. Like, to me, when I watch him play, it's like he has to show the world. Where everyone knows Drew Holiday is like the best perimeter defender probably in the NBA right now, right?
Yeah.
So I like that he plays with this is who I am, and I do it the best in the league.
I will say
to prove it.
whether Derek White is in or not, their switchable defense is really good for perimeter guys.
Yeah.
I know like some teams, like if you're going against the Hawks, for example, who have Trae Young and DeJounte Murray, you're going to force a switch onto Trae Young because you don't want DeJounte Murray guarding you.
Yeah.
And you definitely want Trae Young guarding you. Whereas this team is like, you don't want Jrue Holiday, you don't really want Jaylen Brown, Tatum, or Derek White. They're all good defenders. So like,
yeah, give me a Porzingis, give me the 7-3 guy.
Yeah. Well, that will definitely happen.
Yeah.
And luckily, like even Jrue Holiday to an extent, like those guys are pretty good at guarding up. Like they're good at guarding guys.
Yeah.
So I'm not super worried about their defense. I think the defense will be good. I think the offense, hopefully, like Jrue Holiday isn't like a fantastic playmaker. I do think they need a little bit more of that. The Celtics get trapped in ISO ball a lot, where it's like, Tatum, all right, Brown, all right. So maybe Jrue Holiday can help them kind of figure out different play options to get more people involved.
Yeah.
And yeah, you mentioned it earlier with Porzingis and Horford. Those guys can both shoot. All the guys we just mentioned can shoot. Derek White can shoot. Peyton Pritchard is going to have to step up probably into a role.
Yeah.
Um, and then after that, there are some question marks. After that, it's like, okay, you look back to their finals team from 2022, which was not long ago. That was like the last finals before this year. Um, you go down the list. Marcus Smart is gone. Grant Williams gone. Robert Williams gone. Like guys from a finals run from a year and a half ago are out the door.
Yeah.
So they'll have to kind of find their identity again and figure it out. But I think they'll be good. I think you got to hope that one of your end of the bench guys step into a role and can handle that role, kind of like Christian Brown for the Nuggets last year. He was a rookie.
Yeah.
He handled
Definitely.
his role very well. You need someone like that for sure. But yeah, I think them and the Bucks are clearly contenders at the top of the East. And if you ask me to pick right now, I don't know what my answer would be.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know either. I was thinking I'm gonna give one, and I was like, I can't. I don't think
Yeah,
I could.
it's hard. It's hard. Like both of those teams are so good. I will say
Obviously, there's one I want to say, but obviously, like I'm trying to think,
there are players from
objectively.
both of these teams that will 100% appear in my awards predictions. So
Okay.
so be ready for that.
We'll look forward to that
Tune in and
next
see.
time. Well, next time.
Um, yeah. Oof, that was a lot. That was a lot. We unpacked a lot
Yeah,
there.
that was a lot, but it was very big. Probably the biggest news this offseason for sure.
Oh yeah, and we were
And
waiting and waiting and waiting.
and waiting,
Finally,
but finally happened, and the league is always interesting. So, most important question mark for me going into the season is, will Jimmy Butler keep the haircut? Honestly,
that's what we're worried about.
that's
All this
all
other
comes
stuff we
back to
just talked
that.
about doesn't really matter.
It all comes back to the haircut for me, actually. Yeah,
I actually
but
back now that we're speaking back on media day, James Harden didn't show up. No surprise, I guess.
I saw that. Yeah,
Apparently is going to show up to training camp.
I just read that as well.
So I thought that was interesting. I thought for sure we were getting a holdout, like I'm not coming, find me kind of situation. But
Yeah. Well, also, so on a separate note, but also pertaining to media day, I don't know if you saw this, but Kai Jones, someone that we enjoyed watching on the Hornets, is
he
not.
he's he's got a lot going on.
He's
There's
taking time off.
a
Yeah,
lot. Yeah, I don't like. I don't really understand that situation. I don't remember if I spoke about it at all during.
you're
Uh,
right. Yeah, I don't remember hearing about. I just remember I read about it. I was just trying to brush up a little bit before today, and I read a little bit about it.
yeah, it was like basically. I think he had some very vocal stuff about how he's the best center, like better than Mark Williams. Like I think he specifically name called other guys on his team.
Yeah,
So that created a lot of team drama, and then he's just kind of like went off the rails a little bit and was like just posting random social media videos of like him dancing and stuff, and it was like, what is going on? And then now he's not with the team.
yeah, and he was responding to comments like not attacking people, but like just
Just
him just like doubling down on how much of a better player everyone he is than everyone else, and it's just I hate to see it because it just sucks that a lot of these
legend
young
Kai Jones.
players, all these young players who have so much potential, get sucked into like this just ego of being in the NBA, and then they
It
just
doesn't
like don't.
matter.
It just
Hey, you
ends up
arguing with the guy on
not.
the internet.
Yeah, like they don't end up playing, and it's like, okay, then like you'll never know if you're better than this guy or not. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
what's you know. So it sucks to see that, but
Speaking of not showing up at the team, Kevin Porter Jr. not a training camp for the Rockets. I talked about that
right.
in my ISO episode. Don't know about that situation. I don't want to rehash it because it's not a good situation, but
Yeah.
don't think he's going to be a Rocket anymore. Don't know if he'll be in the NBA anymore, to be completely honest. I don't know. But then again, the Hornets have Miles Bridges on their team. So,
Yeah. It is crazy how that works out, doesn't it? That he might take a year off and then come back and people have forgotten, but like people shouldn't. If you don't
right.
forget, that stuff matters. As pertains to the Rockets, we talked about it. I am okay with that. I want other players to get like more time.
Oh, yeah. I
Yeah.
was hoping he was already traded. Now I'm like, well, I don't want to say it's good because it's not good. It's a
It's
terrible,
not good.
it's
Yeah.
a terrible situation. But I am happy about the fact that a rotational spot will be open for a guy that deserves it.
Yeah, absolutely. And who doesn't commit crimes. How about that?
No more of this.
No more of that. No more scoop.
People have no idea what we're doing or talking about, but
And I don't care.
this is D&D's two-man game. You're not involved. There's only two of us.
Yeah, the other three, you're out of here. It's just us. We're the pick and roll.
The two-man game of Giannis and Dame. That's our podcast.
I'm changing it. That's it. Two-man game of Giannis and Dame.
That's really
Easy.
That's really good.
That was pretty good, right? Yeah, you
Writing
made
a-
that.
writing a
You
new
did
jingle.
that. New jingle alert.
I said like 8 episodes ago we are gonna have the new intro with like the words bouncing around. I never got around to that. I don't know if it'll ever happen.
Life gets crazy, man. I forgive you.
Sorry, our
But
intro.
what's up?
I said sorry, our intro's boring. If you watch the video and you're just looking at the thumbnail while the song is
Hey,
playing.
just how about this? Whenever you click the video, listen to the music because I did that with my hands and my brain. How about that?
Yes.
And Damon wrote those words.
Oh, since you can't actually watch the intro because there's no actual intro there, it's just a thumbnail. Look at the thumbnail, read what the episode's gonna be about real quick, and then the other 30 seconds of the intro, like the video, subscribe to our channel,
Share it with your
5
friends.
stars on Spotify, and send it to everybody. Send it to everybody. Say, listen to this podcast. Two guys that really know what they're talking about. And that's not true, but you can lie. It's
But
okay.
but here's the thing. Here's not a lie. Two guys who care.
Fun. Oh,
and I have fun, I guess.
and we care, I guess.
And we care.
We're passionate. I know we had a week off, a week and a half off. I don't know when this episode's going to air. It's Tuesday evening at 11:47 p.m. now. So I don't know when I will, get to throw this together. Probably, I don't know if I'll stay up and do it tonight. If I'll throw it on there tomorrow, I'm not sure. You'll hear this at some point. It's going to be not the day that you normally hear it. Normally it's Saturday. It's going to be like a Wednesday, so you're going to be really confused. But we'll be back this weekend, I would assume. Dom is up for it to record our power forward rankings.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, we definitely had time to do that this episode.
Okay, yeah, I know we definitely could have. Yeah, I'm thinking about that now too. But we'll find time. We'll do a
4 hour and 15-minute episode. Power forward rankings. Here it is.
And now we're starting. No, yeah, we'll definitely do it. Power forward rankings again soon.
Rankings rank.
Still gotta rest and unpack from tour. But yeah, I mean, so we covered all the news. We have one last point of business, and that is Damon making a shot, which he's not gonna make.
I'm very rusty, so I will say I've made the shot twice. So like the way our show has gone, I made the shot, you left for an episode, I missed, you came back, I made the shot, and then you left again and I missed. So now that you're back, you have to miss every other episode, by the way. You only have to do this every 2 weeks.
Okay.
Please don't. Okay. Because doing it by myself is so much harder, and I feel like a worse listening experience out there. They're like, I just have to hear this one guy talk the whole time.
People love it, but I'll be here for you.
Thank you. All right, here we go.
Remember your hand. Remember your hand.
Yeah. I had the roof. Instantly. As soon as I threw it, I was like,
I knew you would fail.
That might be the worst attempt I've had this year.
It's okay. You haven't done it.
Hit the roof. It hit the roof like right above me, basically. I just went straight up instead of back.
Yeah, that's okay. We have later this week when we do our next episode to redeem yourself.
Hopefully you enjoyed listening to this episode. You enjoyed Dom's return. You hopefully didn't think our pod was canceled because we went a week without uploading. And you're like, oh, they're done. They made it 9 episodes and they quit. We didn't quit. We're here. That'd be crazy if we quit before the season started.
I know. I was like, we couldn't cut it.
No, we're churning the content out, even though it's the off season. Once the season rolls around, I'm sure we'll do a lot of weekly recap, players that are popping off, news lines that come out, all that stuff.
Absolutely. We go into games, recapping games we go to.
Yeah, it'll be a little harder because I'm in Austin now. I'm not near any team. Like San Antonio is like an hour away, an hour and a half.
Yeah, but San Antonio. Although Houston was like 40 minutes from you, or I guess half an hour because you were in like Alvin. But I mean, I'm sure some games will be worth it.
My location away. Yeah,
You're not there anymore.
I'm not there. Well, we'll see how it goes. We'll see. I do
Yeah,
hope
yeah,
definitely get to some games, and even if it is a Spurs game, like at least it's Wimby now. Like it'll be something
yeah.
exciting.
And
Spurs.
hopefully, Damon and I will get to go to a game together, like we usually do, at least
It,
once or
it'll be
twice a
around
year.
December. It will
Yeah,
happen.
we'll have to do that. But
That will definitely happen. I'm committing to that 100%. If we don't go, we're failures.
we are failures if that doesn't happen. That's for sure. But yeah, I just want to say thanks again, everyone, for listening. We'll be back again in a couple of days. Let us know what you thought about this. Share it with everybody and your friends. Yeah, can't wait to talk more hoops next time.
You don't remember how you're supposed to end, do you?
And this was another episode of D&D's two-man game.
Buckets.